All right, I'd like to welcome everybody here. We're going to call this meeting to order. We'll call it 6 p.m. How are you? Brings us to roll call.
Eldon Larson,
I'm here.
Dayton Flake,
Here.
Andrew Bushman, Karsten Flake,
I'm here.
Kat Hansen. Here.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a volunteer to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I can do it.
Thank you.
Move. Pledge.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Dayton. We have a volunteer to lead us in an invocation. I got it. Our Father in heaven, come before this evening. Thank thee for this opportunity I have of being here as a school board and community. Ask thee that thy spirit might attend us. We thank thee for the opportunity I have of serving this community. Ask thee that we might be able to have open minds and make good decisions that are best for both the students and teachers and people of our community. We're thankful for the freedoms that this country gives us. Ask thee that thy blessings be upon this country, that we might be able to continue to have the freedoms that we are afforded at this time. Thank thee for all the many things thou hast blessed us with. We say things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Okay. Brings us to adoption of the agenda. I will make a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
Carson seconds it. Do we have any discussion needed? Anything you want to change around, move around, pull out? Okay. Call for the vote. Carson?
Yes.
Andrew? Kat?
Yes.
Dayton?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, thank you. That takes us to Europe, Mr. Dayton.
So, I approve it.
Yeah, make a motion to approve it.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes for the February 13th, 2024 regular board meeting.
Second?
I'll do it.
Okay, Carson seconds it. Do we have any discussion needed? As we read through it, I read through it, looked like it was all right. Okay. Call for the vote. Andrew?
I'll abstain. I ditched half of it.
Kat? Yes. Dayton?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Karsten?
Yes.
All right, thank you. That brings us to Mr. Fields.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So you should have a written report of some of the current events going on in our district right now, specifically things I'm working on. And I did get that attached to the agenda late, so I can go through that. Parent-teacher conferences are coming up. We have the end of the third quarter is upon us, and parent-teacher conferences will be the week we get the students and staff get back from spring break. We've been working on our emergency operational plan. That's what the school emergency plans are called now. The EOP is the acronym, and I've attached it underneath my current event report if you're interested in looking at that. Basically different forms, but a lot of the same information is attached. So those are in place and good to go. We had to move the wood shop sample items that we were going to bring today until next month. So, but they do have some neat things carved out that they were going to show us. Along those lines, I think I'm not sure if I attached them or not, but there were some pictures of some furniture that was donated to our high school math room, our high school math teacher's classroom. And I don't know if I did I don't think I attached those, but a different style of desk, and Mr. Miller had a good report on those. The teacher likes them, and the students are using them. And like I said, they were donated, so that was nice by a furniture company. We are currently have some workers here that work for a vendor that are installing our new elementary PA system, public announcement system that goes over the intercom. So they're here installing that, and that will be a digital program. It'll be a lot nicer than what we've had in the past. So I know they're looking forward to that. Electric bus is actually on the agenda, so I'll skip, what I say about that. The rate case, I wanted to give one final update about that. So the rate case has been finalized, and no coal community transition funding was given out through this, rate case. So maybe in the future sometime, the district may be looking at something, but at this point, we're not. We're pursuing some other, grants, federal grants, and maybe some state grants that might help ease the tax burden, because also on the agenda, as you know, our override is due this year, so a decision will have to be made on that. I put an estimate on what our electricity cost is annually, our gas bill, and our diesel fuel for buses is on my report for you. The pool, we're planning to get it heated hopefully this week so the classes can use it, and also we could train the lifeguards and get that ready. So beyond that, there is what they call, this is an annual thing, so most of you have seen it before, I'm sure, the Auditor General's spending report. I don't know if Steve can pull that up for us. There's a copy in your backup packet as well. And I believe that you guys received this through an email, either through the Auditor General or the ASBA, one of the two. But they have every district, this is the report that comes out, and every district, and we're looking at FY23, right, Steve?
Yes.
Thank you. And that's a pie chart that shows how our district spends money. And we're good, especially when you compare us to our peer, what they call our peer groups. That's where they would compare us to, like, rural schools that are our size. We're right in there on every category. A couple of points of interest in case you've looked at this and you may have questions. Could you scroll down just a little bit, Steve? I think they formatted it a little differently this year. More data, more links. There, one more screen for us, please. There's two red marks there. I don't know if you can see the screen from where you're sitting, but those are the highest areas that we have, or areas that are higher than some peer groups. And there's reasons for that. The two areas, one is transportation, the other is it food service?
Yeah, the meals per student.
Meals per student.
I'm sorry, spending per meal.
And the orange color represents just high spending in our peer group, and one of those is the administrative cost. And some of these are due, we can get deep into it, but some of them are due to coding changes. When there's a staffing change, sometimes that's the case. In transportation, fuel costs, our transportation actually is decreased some from the previous year, and sometimes that has to do with the amount of drivers we have and things like that. But the administrative cost, the food costs, we expect that to be high with the amount of students that we're serving, but we had a good report on that last month where we are saving. And is there any other bullet points that we had talked about, Steve?
Well, on the food services spending per meal, that's mainly due to labor costs going up relative to the number of kids we have, and I know the board, that's been presented to the board a month or so ago.
And it has decreased since last year. We know that from the report that we got this year. We were doing BIC across the district last year, and that may be part of that.
This is spending compared to our peers, so they're having the same issues that we have.
Well, it depends. These are, this particular chart is not compared to peers.
Well, there's a column.
Well, there's the peer average, that's right.
What is that?
Right, yeah.
So you could see that.
Yeah.
Can you
make that bigger?
It's
I-
also in your backup if.
Yeah, but I-
I don't think it is.
Yeah, I haven't
It's not there.
seen it, but that doesn't mean much.
There should be a PDF of it. But I would say too, the PDF isn't quite as helpful because it's not interactive. There's a link,
So just so
there's
you
a
know,
link on our website.
it's not there.
I got uploaded yesterday,
It's
or
not-
today, I'm not sure why it's not there. Maybe need to refresh the screen or something. But you can, sorry, you can go, because it comes up.
Not on my report, maybe it got attached somewhere else.
Still not there?
Oh.
I refreshed it.
And that's okay. Like I said, I think they received an email, we can get it to them right after the meeting.
If it came through that Arizona board thing, I just delete those.
Well, the other thing you can do is later, if you want, is go to the website, go to district, financial information, and then district spending report. That's probably the easiest way to get to it. And this one is interactive. So you can change some of the, pull down more information, that kind of thing. So,
So, and, there's an electric bus, but like I said, that's gonna be on the agenda later, so.
Okay. Anything else?
Appreciate that.
Good report, Brian. Yeah, anybody have any questions for Mr. Phil?
When we're done at the elementary with the intercom thing, do we have plans to do the high school as well, or is it just for the elementary?
The only one that's been approved for funding is the elementary at this point. But yeah, we would like to do the high school. So we have a few other projects with the SFB we're waiting on, so before we get too, backed up, I'd like to get those projects started, and this was one of them.
Okay, anything else? All right, thanks, Mr. Fields. Do we have anybody signed up, call the public? Okay. That saves me having to read that. Did anybody want to sign up for call to the public?
There's
Okay.
a call to the public sheet in the back if anyone is interested. This is the time.
Like, you're quiet back there.
Okay, that brings us to consent agenda items, all items 3, so approve expense vouchers, student activity funds, student fundraisers, intergovernmental agreements, swimming pool fees. I don't know if you guys looked at that, but if you did, it's just for the swimming lessons.
Did it change?
It has yes. It went up. Has the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency bus grant on there. And,
You may want to have a little discussion about that, even though it's on consent.
right. So I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items as listed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Kat. Would somebody have any questions, any discussion needed over any of these?
I've been asked, like, what would be the range and those things, and Steve has pulled that information up for us for this meeting. 150-mile range, about 8 hours to charge it. That kind of information is in your backup.
About 20 students, correct?
Yeah,
That's what it says.
smaller bus, yeah.
How about having to get rid of another bus to get it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is true.
okay.
So are we getting rid of, do we have another 20-passenger bus, or is it we have to sacrifice a bigger one?
We listed the bus, yeah, it was an older bus. We had to list it, and so that'll be the one that we auction, or,
I was gonna say, do we auction that, or they just come tow it away?
no, I think we're allowed to sell it.
Okay,
That's what I remember.
all right. Any other questions?
You can buy it, Eldon, and then when the electric one goes to heck, you can sell it back to them.
Nope. I do not need an old bus sitting around in my yard. Any other questions on the consent agenda? Okay, call for the vote. Kat?
Yes.
Myself, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to action items, 5A, personnel requests. I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel requests as presented. You'll notice there's two lists to that. You have to open up the teacher contract renewals. Can I get a second on this one? Thank you, Andrew. So the first one that's listed right there that you can see is like coaches and things like that, pretty much. There is a new math teacher on there. If you open up the contract renewals, you can see it's all the teachers that we have that, and I'm assuming they've been offered, but we haven't like done your accepting or anything like that yet, right? This is just who would be renewed. Okay.
That's cool.
Do we have any questions on that? Martin Rose is here. He's the one that's being offered the new head varsity football coach position. Okay, no questions? Kat?
No.
Or, sorry, call for the vote?
Oh,
Kat? Peyton?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
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 Okay,
Thanks Stephanie Farr. She's been here a long time.
yes,
That's sad.
that is true. There's 3 resignations on, well, probably not sad for her. She's probably happy.
Oh. How long has she been here?
I think early 2000s, maybe.
I think at least since I've lived in town.
Okay, that brings us to 5B. I'll make a motion that we approve for discussion and possible approval of contract renewal.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any questions or any discussion needed for this one? So listed in there are athletic director responsibilities
Yes.
that you guys should have been able to look at and read. Okay, I don't see anything for the other responsibilities.
If I may, I can
District
tell you
administrator.
what they are.
Mhm.
He teaches 3 classes, Mr. Edgens teaches 3 classes, music, and he also helps out in the office at, one period. And, yeah, that's what that is. So actually, that was one of our coding changes. So typically, we don't have an athletic director who has administrative certification. So his salary, had to be coded to, and that was for the other pie chart that we were talking about, was coded to, that was one of the things, actually.
That's where the assistant district administrator came from?
Yeah.
Because this doesn't include teaching, we just approved the teaching, and it doesn't include coaching either. It's just the AD and the assistant director and district administrator, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions, discussion needed?
So on this, are we voting whether we're approving?
Approving or not
Or not
approving?
approving?
Yep.
I was the one that remembered that we had only approved this for a 1 year, so I suggested that we look at it again if it's still needed and what we need to do with it. Is it a position that we still need?
One of the changes that happened about that same time was we took the 6th grade up, and it also happened right after COVID when discipline increased. So I don't expect the board to remember, but Mr. Miller was being inundated with some discipline. So I thought it was a very good fit because Mr. Hutchins had experience with the discipline and also the sports and all that. So with the increase of students as well.
Well, when this first started, there wasn't a district administrator in there. It was a special ed coordinator, which he no longer is,
And dean of students.
and it was like a dean of students or something like that. So it's evolved and changed over the,
Yeah, some of the titles. So to take on the special ed one first, So that was an extra duty that he had right before the transfer, and there were some unknowns. We didn't know exactly how that would play out. I think it spread him too thin. We had some concerns expressed about the time, you know, can we get our sped director at meetings and things like that, and we just thought it would be better to have a sped director that was located down here, that could attend meetings more easily down here. And so that responsibility was, we asked Mr. Hutchins to give that up, which he did, and just take those other things. With the assistant district administrator, that's a semantic thing that we did at the district level for the pay range, because that had to be created for this. But it may have been listed as dean of students at first, but the difference would be a dean of students wouldn't do necessarily observations and things. Mr. Hutchins was certified administrator and certified evaluator, and that's why, you know, we've got no issue if Mr. Miller wanted him to do some observations so he could do something else during the day, like, you know, some more serious discipline or meet with parents, whatever the case is.
Okay.
That was also one of the things why we did a dean of students, is so that our principal could do more time with evaluations and help teachers.
Yeah, very true. And, you know, I don't know the exact split, but Mr. Miller may have him doing more veteran teachers that don't need as much improvement as some, you know, fresh new teachers out of college would need maybe a little more coaching, a little more guidance. He probably kept those ones. We can ask him and give Mr. Hutchins, you know, veteran teachers that may have been here for 20 years or that's what I would suspect, but Mr. Miller's here and we could ask him.
Yeah, so off the top of my head, I'm just going off of memory. He does have 5 teachers, I remember. One is a second-year teacher, and the rest are older teachers, from what I recall. I usually try to rotate that. So this is the second year of him working with the teachers, or helping me out with the teacher side of it. So I kind of rotate it so that teachers can get different perspectives each year, so it's not always me. But in general, he's had older teachers, yes.
Okay.
So you've been the one that's evaluated, right?
Mr. Hutchins?
Yeah.
Yes,
And how are those?
always great.
Not that there's nothing to work on. I mean, all of us should have things to work on.
We always try to include at least one thing to work on, for sure.
Okay. So, this is just my personal opinion. It seems like we've spread Mr. Hutchins pretty thin between that. I'm not sure he actually has the time to do everything to the level at which it needs to be taken care of. Me personally, I've had several people come and talk to me about the position. So that's why, one of the reasons why this is pulled out. Mr. Flake asked for it to be pulled out a couple of meetings ago. Do any of you guys have any other questions or anything that you would like to ask or input?
If I can ask Mr. Hutchins, are you spread too thin?
Mr. Hutchins has been spread too thin since he got hired by the chosen city.
We're glad that you're not treated different.
The first year I was here, I taught every kid in the elementary school general music, and I taught all the classes that I teach now at the high school, and the ones I already teach. I am spread thin, but am I doing everything that's requested of me by Mr. Miller? You bet. There's water in the tubs at the basketball games. I'm there at the basketball games. I'm there at the events. I meet with the coaches. I help them if they have problems. We get uniforms ordered on time. We haven't had a team miss a trip or miss a uniform rotation or anything.
I would disagree with that one.
I work I work usually 12, 14 hours every day, working to get everything done. I was the first one at the tournament on Thursday, the last one to leave Thursday, the same with Friday, the same with Saturday. I'm there doing my best.
I would say if someone's missed a uniform rotation, it's because they were told about it and then did not follow up.
Okay. Anything else? All right, call call for a vote. Dayton?
Are we voting approving? Or are we
Approving,
voting to not?
so a yes approves the position, a no does not. Nope. Kirsten?
I abstain.
Yes.
Kat? Okay, passes. Thank you. That brings us to discussion and possible approved changes to governing board policies.
Yes, we have several policies, that,
Let me get it, sorry.
We haven't got there yet.
I'll make a motion that we approve, or that we open for discussion and possible approval changes to governing board policies. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, now we go. Sorry, Brian.
no, that's fine. So these were attached for your information last month as well, and these are changes that occur because of statutory, legislation that is passed, or they recognize that some of the terminology is outdated. So I have gone through them. Most of the changes are those. However, there are a few changes, to policy, but a lot of them are, for example, the first one, instead of, if you have a need for handicapped accessibility or complaint or something like that, instead of just for coming to a meeting or posting the agenda or whatever, replacing a telephone number with an email address is now allowed in policy. So there's an example of that. Another place in these policies, they take out BlackBerry and some outdated technology terms to update it. The vast majority are wording changes. Parental satisfaction, like in one policy, you have policy advisory number 766, it's no longer required to do a parental satisfaction survey under this policy. However, it's still required under a different policy. So we try to do that. We get that done. Other changes, if you have a specific one you want me to go through, I would. They changed the mileage for picking up students from 20 to 30 within your just outside of your district boundary. Bus safety program, just some wording changes again.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. The only one was like the maintenance one where they took out that you don't have to have somebody in charge of making sure your air quality is good.
Yes, that is one. And the site councils now, the requirements have changed. So it used to be you had to get, so many classified employees, certified employees, parents, community members who weren't parents, and so on and so forth. They've adjusted that and made it a little easier. Could be hard on small schools.
Okay. Any questions?
Go over it.
So this is a vote to approve the policies,
Changes.
correct? Because last week we had a reading on them, this week it's an approval of them. So unless somebody has, it is possible, we've done this in the past, you don't have to take all the things that the ASBA sends you, and it is possible in the past where we've said we're taking these, but not these, if there were any that struck you as something Joe City shouldn't
I
have.
didn't see any of the gray area today.
No, we're all okay today, so, or I thought.
None of the mail.
They had like a record year passing legislation last year, over 200 new bills passed. So every time one of those passes, it usually affects school policies.
And a record year beat tells us.
Okay. So call for the vote. Myself, yes.
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 All right. We're getting in the swing of things here. Okay, I make a motion that we open for discussion and possible approval of textbooks and curriculum adoption.
I'll second.
Have they been out long enough?
Says 60 days.
Has anybody said
Yay
yay or nay?
nay?
Has anybody looked at them that we know of?
Couple of teachers.
Hopefully the teachers.
Okay, well, call for the vote. Karsten?
Yes.
Tate, or Andrew? Whew, sorry. Kat? Dayton?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, this brings us to the next one, and I'll make a motion that we open for discussion and possible approval of the superintendent's performance pay.
I'll second it.
This is the one that's in the contract for the 2.5% that's withheld of his normal contract, so this just allows him to get the 2.5% that's withheld.
Yeah, twice a year.
Yep.
Every district does, they might do different
It
percentages.
seems like this comes up about 6 times a year, not twice a year.
Like, yeah.
Are you
How
sure
many
it's only twice a year?
2.5% do you get?
Two.
All right.
A total of 5%.
Can we go to executive session?
We can.
I motion that we do. I motion that we go into executive session to discuss this.
Does anybody second it?
Sure.
Okay, Kat seconds it. So that puts us in an executive session at 6:31, and we'll be back out.
Being recorded now, be good in here.
I was gonna turn on.
Julie, do we have the statement about how to get confidentiality
What's that?
for executive?
I gave it to Where's that, so,
It's green.
okay.
So I'll call for the vote on the superintendent's performance day, and I don't know where we're at, so I'll go first. Yes?
Yes.
Karsten?
Yes.
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 All right. That brings us to the one that you want to talk about. So I'll make a motion that we open for discussion, possible information on M&O override. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so this is the year, for the district to go out, for an M&O override if we want to continue without a reduction. Currently, we're in a 15% M&O override. The district has had an override, for many, many years. It was 1 year, 2018, it didn't pass, and there was a 1/3 reduction. We tried again in 2019, and it passed. It passed with a good margin, too. But there was some strategy behind that, trying to make preparation for when the power plant closes down. So we've done some preliminary research, Mr. Mills and myself, and the county has not given us the official timeline, which is when we'll actually take action. But I expect that if we do decide to go out for an M&O override, most of which goes to salaries and benefits, by July. It's the very latest. It has to be in, all the paperwork, including the pamphlets, all those things. But it can be anywhere from a 15% or lower, whatever the board would like. Most districts, they try to get as much as they can through an M&O override. One thing I found out over the past couple of weeks is that now M&O overrides, they go on a current year of when you file. So the power plant isn't closed, so if it passes this year, taxes would be assessed like that. So the tax burden wouldn't shift yet. If they were to close Cholla down, I don't know exactly what they're going to do with Cholla, and decommission and destroy all their property and stuff like that, there would be a shift in those taxes until we qualify for state aid. Okay, but for the first year of an override, that wouldn't happen. They would go by this year, the year that we voted in. So that's good to know, because after the first year, if the tax burden is too high for the community, the board could say, we're not going to levy the full 10 or 15%. You could say, we're going to levy a lower rate or no rate. I mean, I can't see myself recommending that, but the board definitely could do that. We're trying to keep competitive with salaries and those type of things. But I would expect a tax increase when Cholla decommissions. So, Steve, am I leaving anything out that you remember from our meetings? We also looked at election consultants and things like that.
No, I can't think. But we'll be working on more data, more analysis, future meetings, so just...
If we do decide, and I would like the board to consider it strongly, this year we could get the help from Stifel and Associates, is that their name?
Stifel.
They are an accounting firm, they specialize in this, and they told us it would be at no cost to the district. They do analysis like the budget, like what your tax burden would be, maybe. We didn't do that necessarily the last time. I thought there'd be an expense to it, but they said, what do they call it? Whatever they call it.
Pro bono.
Pro bono, because of other work that they do, I guess. But so they would help us get some numbers out to the community and do an in-depth analysis if we'd like.
Probably a good thing.
I think as much information out as we can get for people to see.
The only reason why I'm chuckling is because I talked to Mr. Gill about this. The last two schools that they helped with their override information getting out, the overrides failed, so.
Maybe we don't want that.
That's what I think.
That's specifically the election consultants. Those are guys that, they'll tell you how to start a PAC in your community. Now, the school cannot start a PAC, but citizens could and things like that. They worked with a couple of county districts. I don't know if we'll retain them. We're so small. Typically, about the past couple override elections, about 500 people voted.
If I remember correctly, the last one got voted higher than any other of the ones in the same election, wasn't it? Our school.
For 15%,
Yeah. We had more people vote yes than any other school.
Percentage of people voting yes.
So we could do it anywhere from 10 to 15, any of those numbers in between. Or,
0 to 15, yeah.
okay, 0 to 15. And if I understood correctly, if we do it soon, it'll still affect the power plant, where if we do it after they whatever, it would affect the community more.
A bond is also an option. That's a little different. That's usually for a capital project, like could be a track or a bus or roof or something. But M&O override goes to mostly the salaries and benefits to supplement our regular budget.
And when is it June that we have to vote for this by June?
Yeah,
Can we do it
actually,
again?
I think we said we wanted it by
Or is it May?
April.
Well,
April?
well, the board would have to call for the election, probably their June meeting,
By
depending
June.
on when that July cutoff is, relative to our.
They
board
gave us
date.
a date in June that was actually before our June board meeting, that meeting, I remember now.
Yeah.
So probably May. Okay. But we have to have all the paperwork in by July, so that's for the November.
Is that, as of right now, is that what you're planning on recommending and going forward with, is a override?
Yes. I don't know the amount, my recommendation yet. Typically, schools, they're in favor of these type of things. I know we're conservative here, especially when it comes to taxes. That's what it is.
But I think people also really care about the school, too.
Any other questions or discussion on that? Okay, then that brings us to information items, requests for future agenda items. Anybody have any requests for future agenda items?
Well, are you planning on bringing us some more information next month, even if we won't vote on it till May, so that we can be
yes, and
ready
your
for
backup is the timeline right now. So what else is in the backup? Put the timeline. The M&O override amount is roughly $700,000 annually to us right now.
I don't see the backup.
There's no backup.
Your backup went wherever my other backup went, I guess. Sorry, I don't know.
Out there.
But if we don't do it this year, we're going to start losing that.
There'll be a 1/3 reduction, FY 25 or 26.
It was 26 when we were discussing it. Okay, anything else? Upcoming meetings and events, we have our normal one that would be in April, what's the second Tuesday?
The ninth.
Ninth, there we go.
Says it right there.
Oh, click on it, there it is, 9th. Anything else? All right, I'll make a motion that we adjourn, can I get a second?
Do it.
Okay, I'll for the vote, myself, yes, Carson?
Yes.
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 Yes. Let's sign away.